2 full years passed since Joseph interpreted the dreams of Pharaoh's cupbearer and baker, and still, he remained in prison. But then, Pharaoh himself began to dream. In his first dream, he stood by the Nile, and out of the river came 7 sleek, fat cows grazing among the reeds. Suddenly 7 other cows, thin and gaunt, came up after them and stood beside the healthy ones. Then, to Pharaoh's horror, the skinny cows devoured the fat ones. Yet even after eating them, they looked just as thin and sickly as before. Then Pharaoh woke up, disturbed. He fell asleep again and had a second dream. This time, 7 healthy heads of grain grew on a single stalk. Then 7 other heads sprouted, thin and scorched by the east wind. The thin heads swallowed up the full good heads. Pharaoh awoke, troubled and confused by what he had seen. In the morning, he called for all the magicians and wise men of Egypt and told them his dreams, but no one could explain them. Then the cupbearer remembered Joseph. He told Pharaoh about the young Hebrew he met in prison, who accurately interpreted both his and the baker's dreams. Immediately, Pharaoh sent for Joseph. They brought him quickly from the dungeon, and after shaving and changing clothes, Joseph stood before Pharaoh. Pharaoh explained both of his dreams, and Joseph made it clear, "I cannot do it, but God will give Pharaoh the answer he desires." Joseph explained that both dreams had the same meaning. God was revealing what he was about to do. There would be 7 years of great abundance in Egypt, followed by 7 years of severe famine. The dreams were given twice to Pharaoh because the matter had been firmly decided by God, and it would happen soon. Joseph advised Pharaoh to find a wise and discerning man to take charge, store up food during the plentiful years, and prepare the land for the coming famine. Pharaoh and his officials were impressed. Pharaoh turned to his court and asked, "Can we find anyone like this man, one in whom is the Spirit of God?" Then he turned to Joseph and said, "Since God has made all this known to you, there is no one so discerning and wise as you. You shall be in charge of my palace, and all my people will submit to your orders. Only with respect to the throne will I be greater than you." Pharaoh placed his signet ring on Joseph's finger, dressed him in fine linen robes, and hung a gold chain around his neck. He gave him a chariot as his second in command and declared before him, "Make way." Joseph was 30 years old when he entered the service of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. He traveled throughout Egypt, and during the 7 years of abundance, the land produced plentifully. Joseph stored up huge quantities of grain, like the sand of the sea, until they could no longer be measured. During this time, Joseph was given a wife, Asenath, the daughter of Potiphera, priest of On. Together they had 2 sons. He named the first Manasseh, saying, "It is because God has made me forget all my trouble and all my father's household." The second he named Ephraim, saying, "It is because God has made me fruitful in the land of my suffering." Then the 7 years of abundance came to an end, and the famine began, just as Joseph had said. It affected not only Egypt, but all the surrounding lands. Yet in Egypt, there was grain. When the people cried to Pharaoh for food, he sent them to Joseph. Joseph opened the storehouses and sold grain to the Egyptians. And all the world came to Egypt to buy grain from Joseph, because the famine was severe everywhere.